today we're going to be shooting with the Mamiya 645 in downtown Toronto, and I'll talk a little bit more about my experience with it, and I'll talk a little bit more about this camera as well. So after getting off the train, I headed up to Bay and French Street, and there was this beautiful light reflecting off this building, and I had to take a picture. And over here you can really see me struggling trying to hold this in portrait orientation. Then I went over to Brookfield Place. I love the architecture here and all of the different lines and textures. I wanted to take this photo because I love the contrast of the old style building against the modern glass. I wanted to take a picture of the building and the road here, and you can see that there's a huge light leak, and that's my fault because of the development process, but the photo's still cool. I came across this restaurant and it had the most beautiful light hitting all of the glass bottles. This is another perspective of the restaurant, and I think this is probably my favorite photo on the roll. Lastly, we're here at Nathan Phillips Square. I came here last time, but I wanted to get another perspective. I'm loading up another roll, but this time I'll be shooting Portrait 400. I didn't get any video footage of me shooting it since it was so cold out, but I hope you enjoy these pictures. I hope you guys really enjoyed that segment. I really enjoyed using this camera, and I think I got some really good pictures out of it, and for my first roll on this camera I think it went really well, and I'm really pleased with the pictures that I got with it so far. But yeah, anyways, about the camera, I just picked this up recently since my first medium format camera, the Yashica Mat 124G, it unfortunately had a lot of fungus in it, so I did sell that camera off and I opted for a Mamiya 645 since it's a great beginner medium format camera, and it also provides great balance between quality and the amount of photos you can get. I also did consider the older brother of this camera, which is the Mamiya RZ67, and I just knew that I wouldn't like shooting with it because of its size and its weight, and I'm a pretty short person, I'm like 5'2", and I just knew that if I carried that camera around I would not have fun shooting with it. So I thought the Mamiya 645 was a good size, and I really do like shooting with it. Also, this lens hood is like a plunger, and I think it's so fun to play with. Look at that. There are a lot of versions of the M645. This is the Pro version, not the Pro TL, but just the Pro version, and it comes after the Mamiya Super. I couldn't find much differences between the Super and the Pro online, other than that this doesn't fire without a battery, but the Super does up to 60th of a second, and that the internals in the Super is a little bit different than the Pro. The Pro is a little bit more rugged, And aside from that, they are very similar. I know I have the Super Prism Finder on top. It's just what came with the camera. They're both compatible, and it works very nicely, so I have no complaints. This camera has your typical camera setting style with the aperture ring on the lens and the focusing on the lens too. It also has the shutter speed dial directly on the camera body up to 1,000 of a second. It also has auto exposure mode, and on the Prism viewfinder you can adjust your exposure compensation and the type of metering you want to do. You have the aperture value metering, and you also have the spot meter. Or you can choose auto, which will choose whatever setting for you, which is kind of helpful. This camera also has a multi-exposure mode, so if you're someone who's really into double exposures or even more than that, you can do that on this film too with the multi-exposure dial. I'm going to start off with what I really like about this camera, and I just want to know how beautiful this camera looks. I love how this camera looks so sleek and clean. This camera has interchangeable backs. Which is really helpful because if you're shooting a roll and mid-roll you want to change it to a color roll or another black and white film roll, you can just take off the film back, replace it, and you can continue shooting. The thing with this interchangeable backs is that it has dark slides, which is really helpful because if you have a dark slide in the front, the camera won't actually fire, which is nice because you won't waste any shots. So as long as you move the dark slide to the back, the camera will fire and take your photos. Another thing that I like about this camera is how modular it is. So if one part breaks, I don't have to buy a whole new camera. I can just replace that part, and it'll save me a lot of money in the long run. This camera also has a mirror lockup feature. So if you're shooting at lower shutter speeds, it'll be really helpful for kind of locking that mirror and reducing vibrations, as well as the ability to close the viewfinder, which will block any of the light that'll come in and that could affect your film. On the shutter dial, there is a self timer of about 8 seconds, I believe, and I'm not sure what the red dot is. I'm going to do my research and I'm going to put it up there. This camera also has a battery check button, and it'll tell you if the battery needs to be changed, which is really nice. Looking through the viewfinder, it's really bright and really clear, so I was able to compose really easily. The only gripe that I have with it is that it's really awkward if you're shooting in portrait orientation, because there's really no way to kind of hold the camera. You're kind of holding it like this, and it's really hard to kind of focus and hold the camera at the same time. But I'm not going to blame the camera. I know there's a grip for it, but I just refuse to use the grip because I just know that it would make the camera really bulky and it would just make me want to shoot with it less. Some of the other cons of this camera is that if you want to shoot with longer exposures, you will need an adapter for this camera, and those adapters are really expensive and kind of hard to find. Or you can also find a specific cable that is meant for this port, which is also a little bit kind of expensive, which is really inconvenient, but that's just the price you have to pay. Also, when I got this camera, I knew that I wanted to have a strap with it so I could carry it with me everywhere, but strap lugs for the Mamiya 645 Pro is super hard to find anywhere. You can buy authentic Mamiya 645 straps with the strap lugs, but they are often really expensive. So what I did was I bought the original like M645 1000S strap lugs, and I had to drill in a hole on the right side, and that way that's how it fit. It's still a little bit loose, but there's not much you can really do. Overall, this camera is super fun to use. I love shooting with it. Every time I see it, I just want to pick it up and shoot. It's super fun taking pictures with it. The viewfinder is bright, and it has a split prism viewfinder, which makes it really easy to focus. And overall, really happy with this camera. I'm excited to shoot with it more. And thank you for tuning in to this video. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you really like my content, please consider subscribing, and I will see you in the next video.